so nice today. I'm sure this won't be a big deal.
A 3-second long lapse in judgment can burn up an entire mountain, which will take 100 years to recover. We can protect these lush forests if you follow these guidelines. First, do not bring flammable materials to the mountains. Second, do not cook or camp in the mountains. Third, do not litter cigarette butts. Your small actions are the first step towards protecting the beautiful forest. This campaign is brought to you by BEFM 부산 영어방송.
Want to be a friend of BFM Busan Yeongo Bangsong? You can chat with BFM through our Kakao Talk service. You can share your messages and photos through Kakao Talk, and you can easily become BFM's Kakao friend by searching BFM through the Find a Friend option. Come share and chat with us at BFM anytime, anywhere for free. Don't forget to add BFM Busan Yeongo Bangsong to your Kakao friends list.
Man, I haven't got a chance. I call
지역 경제가 힘차게 출발합니다. 기업들이 고객을 향해 더 빨리 가려면 방송 광고라는 엑셀을 밟으세요. 경제도 기업도 더 힘차게 달려가니까요. 방송 광고의 작은 힘, 경제의 큰 힘입니다. 부산 방송광고발전협의회.
The time is now 7 o'clock.
As this energy crisis continues, I am curious about all of you. How have you been coping? And what about your mode of transportation? Has it changed at all? Well, if you're a civil servant, you are most likely abiding by the mandatory 5-day driving rotation system that's in place already, and you're going to have to switch over to that odd even day system starting tomorrow. LG Group adopted a 5-day vehicle rotation system, expanding its previous 10-day system. Samsung also announcing yesterday that it plans to adopt the same system as well. So what about you, the waivers out there? Are you taking public transportation more often? I'm Catherine. This is Morning Wave in Busan on Tuesday, April 7th on BEFM 부산 영어 방송. Good morning, Wavers. I hope you're all doing well. Welcome to the program on this Tuesday morning. So I threw some questions at you, fast and furious about public transportation. Maybe you're using it more often. I have noticed that there are more people on the subway, at least. I do take the subway at least twice a week. And definitely, at least, from my eyes, I didn't do an exact head count. There seems to be more people on the subway. So that is definitely a sign of the times. Well, we're going to continue with this whole traffic, idea, but it's on a different front. The Manduk to Centum Urban Expressway, that's been open for just 2 months now? But it has seen a series of these ground-sinking episodes, leading to a shutdown over the past weekend, and of course, raising questions about safety. So on Sunday afternoon, 3 sinkholes, we're talking about ground sinkings of 1.5 to 2 meters in diameter, opening up across the road inside Daeseong Underpass in Dongnae and inside the Suyeong-Gangbyeon Underpass in Haeundae District. So the road shutdowns wreaked havoc in terms of traffic during the weekend, but both roads are operating normally. The bigger concern might be the why, and also the safety concerns all of this leaves. Busan City is pointing to the construction on the Manduk to Centum Daesimdo Road as the most direct cause. What happened, according to the city, is that the construction had dug out the ground during construction. That's what they did. And then when they were refilling it, the workers, I guess this wasn't done properly, leading to ground weakening. But as for why the ground sinking happened on Sunday, there may have been, I guess, some factors from the weather contributing to all of this. It rained quite heavily on Saturday, up to 71 millimeters in Haeundae. And usually such heavy rain has a tendency to weaken the ground foundation, which could have contributed to what happened. But this raises questions once again about the safety of Busan's newest major road that opened up, just barely 2 months ago. And on top of that, Busan, well, not new to have sinkholes here, with multiple similar episodes in Sasang that have recently popped up. So, we're a few months away from the summer rainy season. Question is this: are the roads going to be safe and ready as we head into the summer months? And then, of course, we have that 장마 once again coming. So lots of questions. I don't think we have enough answers. We'll keep an eye on all of this for you. But now it's time for a text topic very much related to a story coming up soon. How do you save or back up your photos and documents? So let me give you the Korean version and then maybe some examples. Okay, 나는 자료 사진 백업 어떤 방식으로 한다. You might use a USB or like a hard drive, 외장 하드, or maybe you use some sort of cloud, whichever one, or old school 인쇄본. Oh, like a hard print copy. Did you laugh, PD? 살짝 이랬는데요. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay. Anyhow, so whatever and however you save your photos and documents, well, let me know. Send in your messages to BFM's live stream live chat on YouTube. Go to the YouTube platform and type in BEFM 부산 영어 방송 to find us, our channel. And then what do? Subscribe, log in, chat with other waivers. From your phone, pound 9050, shop 9050. That's going to cost you 100 won. You can also reach me for free on Kakao Talk. So same thing there. You got to find us first. BEFM, 부산 영어 방송. And then add us as a friend first, and then you can send in your messages and photos too. Well, the ways you can tune into our program, 90.5, 103.3 FM on the radio. That's if you're in the Busan area. And if you haven't checked us out on YouTube, at least check us out that way once. Give us a chance on that medium. It's very fun and lively. And you can check us out on the BFM app and the Popbang app as well. So it's Tuesday. Who's coming in today? We have Jian for Now in Busan, Haley for Top Stories in hour number 1, and hour number 2 for Wagelwager Tea Time. Andrew is coming in for Wave Sports. We have Bonnie for Simply Sustainable. And for our special interview today. The whole world, what are we focused on right now? I mean, even my opening where we talked about, are you taking public transportation or not? It is all tied in with what's happening in the Strait of Hormuz. So who really controls it? Well, of course, we're thinking Iran. But in terms of the war, the oil, the global power, we're going to get into the logistics of all that. That's coming up with our expert in hour number 2. I'll be back with news overview. It's now 7:06 and this is News Overview. Special counsel seeks 10-year sentence for ex-president in appeals. The Joon-suk special counsel yesterday requested a 10-year prison term for former President Yoon Suk-yeol in the appeals trial of his obstruction of justice case stemming from his 2024 imposition of martial law. South Korea's fiscal deficit reaches 104 trillion won last year. South Korea's fiscal deficit reached 104.2 trillion won, the fourth largest figure ever, with a national debt at over 1,300 trillion won last year, according to the Ministry of Economy and Finance. North Korea says President Lee Jae-myung was frank and broad-minded. North Korea's Kim Yo-jong said that the North's leader, Kim Jong-un, described President Lee Jae-myung as frank and broad-minded following his expression of regret over unauthorized drone flights into the north. Fuel surcharge to quadruple for domestic flights starting May. Korean Air and Asiana Airlines announced yesterday that they will raise their domestic one-way fuel surcharge to 34,100 won, roughly 4.5 times higher than this month's surcharge of 7,700 won. Trump extends Iran's deadline and warns of decimation of civilian infrastructure. U.S. President Donald Trump has extended the deadline for Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz to 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Tuesday, warning that every bridge in Iran will be decimated. This was News Overview. It's time for Now in Busan. We have Tian in the studio. Let's say hi first. Hello.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
All right. Well, how do you save up, save your photos or back up your documents?
So cloud services, they're too small, and I have to pay extra for larger spaces.
Yes.
And even hard drives, I think they're pretty risky. They're kind of like you have to care very delicately. It could be
Damaged? Right.
so easily. So I write a blog and publish
the
post in but that nobody can see it.
Oh, so on
Not
purpose.
openly, on purpose, so I can get back to the photos.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Even later, and I don't
Okay.
have to pay any extra fee for that.
Oh, so smart, giving us good tips. Well, thank you for sharing. That's a
Yes.
good idea. We're going to begin with some local news. A meaningful milestone here in Busan. So the UN Memorial Cemetery has just marked its 75th anniversary.
Yes.
Let's remind people, what does this place represent?
The UN Memorial Cemetery in Korea, a powerful symbol of both the tragedy of the Korean War and international solidarity, marked the 75th anniversary of its establishment yesterday on April 6th. The cemetery was created to honor fallen UN soldiers who had been temporarily buried across the Korean peninsula during the early stages of the war, bringing them together in one place. It remains the only UN-designated memorial cemetery in the world.
Right. And when was it officially established?
Construction began on January 18th, 1951, and the site was formally dedicated to the United Nations on April 6th of the same year, marking the beginning of what is now the UN Memorial Cemetery. More than 2,300 service members from 14 countries are laid to rest there.
That's right. So were there any events to mark this milestone 75th anniversary?
Yes, this year a special photo exhibition was held at the cemetery's main gate, showcasing about 20 historical images, many newly uncovered and displayed for the first time. Officials also visited the U.S. National Archives earlier this year to recover and verify records moved overseas during the UN withdrawal.
That's right. So thank you once again for going over this important milestone. All right, next up, we're going to talk about disaster preparedness here in Busan. The city has focused or launched its pre-summer response effort. So what's the main goal here?
Busan held its first pre-summer disaster preparedness meeting last Friday, April 3rd, officially launching an early response system ahead of the seasonal risk period.
Yes.
The meeting was led by Vice Mayor of Administrative Affairs Kim Kyung-duk and brought together multiple agencies, including city departments, district offices, public corporations, as well as fire and police authorities.
Yes, and what's the focus this year?
The city has identified 6 key disaster disaster risk types, including landslides, flooding, and strong winds. Based on these, Busan plans to strengthen preventive measures and conduct intensive inspections across vulnerable areas.
Oh, so when we talk about measures, what kind are we talking about?
A key initiative here is the launch of the Busan Safety On platform starting in May, which will integrate and provide real-time disaster information, including urban flooding, earthquakes, and landslides. The city will also conduct a full-scale survey of high-risk areas, designate the most vulnerable zones for priority management, and assign senior officials to take direct responsibility for on-site inspections.
That's right. Well, what about infrastructure and, of course, evacuation plans?
Busan plans to reinforce safety infrastructure, including expanding preventive facilities and installing fall prevention devices on manholes in high-risk zones by June. At the same time, it will reorganize evacuation protocols, pre-designate residents requiring assistance, and carry out in-person training to improve real-world response capacity.
I see. So, of course, this is so important. So I'm glad we talked about this. Now, moving on, we're going to talk about a new tourism initiative here in Busan. I hear there's a program centered around Ulsukdo. So what's this about?
The Busan Tourism Organization has launched a new tourism program exclusively for international visitors built around the Ulsukdo Ecological Park.
Okay.
This is a state-type tourism model that combines ecology, wellness, and educational elements.
Yes. Well, of all the places, what makes Ulsukdo a good fit for this kind of program?
Ulsukdo, located at the mouth of the Nakdonggang River, Ulsukdo is a globally recognized migratory bird habitat and a protected wetland, making it an ideal site for eco-focused experiences.
So are there programs maybe tailored for different tourists?
Yes, for visitors from Europe and North America, the ONDO, Ondo Eco Residence Program, offers guided ecological tours, wildlife experiences, and sunset therapy. For Taiwanese tourists, a picnic-style group package is offered during the cherry blossom season, while Japanese visitors can join small group tours combining bird watching with sunset viewing.
I see. So I hope that the international visitors can have a good time at Ulsukdo. And finally, there's a community-focused project here in Busan involving architecture and public spaces. So what's the story here?
Busan City has completed the remodeling of a village hall in Gangseogu district as part of the Hope with Hug project in collaboration with the Busan International Architectural Festival and the Korea Housing and Urban Guarantee Corporation. A completion ceremony is being held with participation from related institutions, sponsoring companies, architects who donated their talents, and local residents.
So what kind of project is this, if you can give us further details?
Sure. It's a public-private initiative that improves outdated community facilities through architectural talent donations and corporate sponsorship, essentially a space welfare project. Since its launch in 2013, the program has upgraded a total of 64 facilities.
Oh, okay. So what's special about the latest project?
This 64th project transformed the Sangok Village Hall into a shared community space, complete with communal kitchen and relaxation areas for residents. It was supported by corporate sponsors and led by an architect who contributed design services pro bono.
Oh, that's very nice. So will there be more projects like this?
Yes, absolutely. Busan City is now accepting applications for this year's project sites. Eligible facilities include those supporting vulnerable groups, such as shelters for at-risk youth, night schools, and homeless support centers, as well as other public use spaces. Applications are open until the 20th via email, and final selections will be made next month following document review and on-site evaluations.
All right, sounds good. Thank you for letting us know all the local news, and we'll check in with you tomorrow. Thank you, Jian.
Thank you.
All right, I'll be back with your traffic and weather. It's now 7:17. Here's your traffic report. First up, Gayadero is congested from Juda Station to Daegum Station. It's backed up on Nakdong-Namdo from Myeongji Ram to Cheongnyasa-Ogui intersection. There is traffic detected on Daedong-Hwammyeong Bridge on the top portion toward Anmak Ramp. Also slow on Gwanmun-daero from Pangnam Tunnel to Baekyang Tunnel. Currently, it is 8 degrees here in Busan under clear skies. It's going to go up to 14 today. Across the nation, it's an icy morning with near zero temperatures in parts of the central area for that final bit of winter push. So, 꽃샘 추위, bundle up when you leave home today. This was your traffic and weather. It's time for Top Stories. We have Haley here. Let's say hi first. Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, you look so nice.
How springy of you.
Yes.
What is this? Compliment time?
No. No, so cute. I love.
Thank you.
Oh, the color looks
Yes,
so
yes.
good on you.
We're together, Blackpink today. Sorry.
We either match like twins
Or just like,
yeah, complete opposites. So, in terms of our text topic, how do you say things? How do you back
You're
things up?
stressing me out.
Oh,
Pass.
why?
Hard pass.
Why?
Because let me read you some messages from my phone. Your cloud is full. Your cloud has not been backed up in redacted number of days, which is really embarrassing because it's in the quadruple digits number
Oh
of
my
days.
gosh.
I don't want to talk about it.
So what do you do? What if something happens?
I don't know. Hopes and prayers.
Because I know you take lots of photos and you're such a good photographer.
But then, so I don't know. That's a great question. Guys, what should I do? Because I also I feel like it is a ploy. It's not by corporations to make me pay for, I don't know, air of space. Just air.
Aerospace.
And then I've heard things that external hard drives, there can be wiring issues. And my friend paid, I don't know, through her nose to get her external hard drive fixed. And I'm just like, she got it fixed, but
she
also it was like a lot of money. So I'm like, I don't know. 내 마음의 저장? I don't know. I really don't know.
Are we still on the Park Ji-hoon phase? All right. Okay, well, if you have any suggestions for Haley, aside from paying for extra cloud storage.
I think that is the only option
the
at this
answer.
point. We'll see how long I hold out.
All right. We're going to jump into top stories for now, though. The appeals case for former President Yoon Suk-yeol's obstruction of justice case wrapped up yesterday.
Right. So this is one of many cases that the former president faces. But the Cho Eun-suk special counsel yesterday requested 10 years in prison for former President Yoon Suk-yeol's obstruction of justice case. This is the same sentencing request as they requested in the original trial. However, the first court sentenced him to 5 years in prison. So this is the case regarding former President Yoon having mobilized members of the Presidential Security Service to block the CIO from arresting him under their warrant, which amounted to the obstruction of justice conviction, as well as procedures during the cabinet meeting before his martial law imposition, where he excluded 7 cabinet members from their decision-making process. That was the abuse of authority conviction, and also having forged the martial law declaration amounting to the false creation of a public document conviction.
So what did both sides say in the closing arguments in the appeals case?
Right. So the special counsel asked the appeals court to find Yoon guilty on another charge, exercising said falsified press official documentation and abuse of authority in allegedly ordering for the press guidance to be distributed to the foreign press.
Okay.
So because he was found not guilty of these 2 charges in the previous trial. As for the former president, Yoon had a chance to speak to the court directly, and he did so for about 20 minutes. He refuted the charges, saying that he never intended to obstruct or interfere with the arrest.
Okay.
And that if what happened was indeed abuse of authority, then the presidential security cannot and would not be able to protect the president. That, quote, even if the other side were to set him up in this political trap, that this is too much, that this was out of line. As for the ruling, the court has set the sentencing announcement to April 29th.
All right. So, of course, we'll follow this story for sure. In the meantime, we're going to move on and talk about this. The government gives financial rewards for those who have received medals of honor or merit for various reasons. But for some cases, these have been withdrawn as well. So let's get into it.
Right, and we might see more of these cancellations or withdrawals. So earlier, President Lee Jae-myung said that the medals or rewards given to, quote, criminals of national violence will be withdrawn. So let's dive into what kind of honors have been withdrawn or revoked. So since the establishment of the South Korean government, there have been 833 medals or rewards that have been revoked. And that is a tiny fraction, 0.05% of some 1.62 million honors and rewards that have been given.
Okay.
The most common honors were those that were given to patriots, so 보국훈장, and military combatants, or 무공훈장.
I see. Well, what could lead to these medals or honors being revoked?
Right. So nearly half the cases were because the actions that led to a person receiving these honors, they were proven to have been false. So almost 40% of the cases were also because the receivers were then later convicted of crimes and sentenced to at least 1 year in prison. For other cases, there were 77 cases where those who were honored for suppressing the May 18th democratic uprising in Gwangju had their medals or rewards revoked.
Yes.
In terms of presidents, Democratic presidents Kim Young-sam and Kim Dae-jung really started to cancel or revoke these honors, and the peak came during the Nomu현 administration at 429 honors revoked.
Okay.
Former presidents themselves, Chun Do-hwan and Roh Tae-woo, had their own medals and honors revoked due to their various crimes.
Right. And as I said earlier, this administration is also setting to revoke these honors, right?
So this is a part of its kind of project to right past wrongdoings. So the Defense Ministry recently passed a motion to cancel medals of honor to 10 individuals that played a major role in the the December 12th military coup that was led by Chun Do-hwan and Roh Tae-woo.
Right.
For a bit of reference, this was the event behind the films 서울의 봄, 12/12 the day.
Yes.
The National Police Agency is also looking through some 70,000 cases of government rewards and presidential or prime minister's awards within its own agency, especially for those who took part in torture and other forms of misuse of public authority.
Yes. So that's why we're talking about this. Very important. For now, though, we're going to talk about something else entirely. The government is looking to vastly raise the status of national university hospitals.
Right, to the level of Seoul's so-called top 5 or big 5 hospitals. So the National Assembly and the Ministry of Health and Welfare said that the Health Ministry has come up with these comprehensive plans to develop such national university hospitals and is in the process of fine-tuning this with the relevant agencies.
Yes.
So right now it's working on the money, securing the budget to secure, quote, excellent talent based on the regions and the hospital's respective needs.
But I am curious, what will the budget be used for specifically?
It's all about people, right? Getting the necessary doctors, nurses, and aides in and hiring specialists for especially essential department. Also improving conditions for specialists who would be in charge of on-call duty, having professors who can go between these hospitals and overall educational environment, and paying trainee doctors. While the long-term goal is, again, to raise the status of these hospitals to the Big 5 in Seoul, of course, that's going to take time. So in the short term, the government is going to target the specific needs. So for example, for national university hospitals in rapidly aging cities or provinces, they're going to focus on geriatric care. For areas that lack general medical resources and an exodus of patients with serious illnesses going to Seoul to seek care, cancer treatment.
I see. All right. We're going to move on and talk about the war between the U.S. and Israel versus Iran. Let's talk about U.S. President Donald Trump's latest press conference.
Right, and the latest deadline for Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz has been extended again. So the newest deadline is 8 p.m. Eastern time on Tuesday.
Right.
So that would be 9 a.m. tomorrow, Korea time.
Okay.
So we're kind of entering the almost 24-hour push. So President Trump again threatened attacks, or he said decimation of Iran's civilian infrastructure, including, quote, every bridge in the country by midnight on Tuesday. I do want to note, though, that attacks on civilian infrastructure, including bridges, is against international law.
Yes.
And the international community in the past couple of days, they've expressed concerns about this. However, when President Trump was asked about this during the press conference, he kind of brushed off these concerns. As for the reason for this deadline extension, Trump said that he extended his initial deadline of Monday because he deemed it was inappropriate for the day after Easter and that, quote, he wanted to be a nice person.
Interesting. Well, there were reports of a possible ceasefire between the two sides yesterday, but we need to know what happened.
Right, so that's kind of fizzled out as quickly as the reports came because yesterday afternoon we did get reports that the U.S. and Iran had received, not accepted, but received a two-phase ceasefire deal that was brokered by Pakistan. However, the plan seemed to be faltering. The plan included an immediate ceasefire for phase 1 and then for phase 2, a more comprehensive agreement. Iran, however, wanted it done from the get-go. They wanted a permanent end to the war and submitted its own 10-point peace plan. So then they threw the ball back into President Trump's court. And Trump said during the press conference, while this was a significant step, that it wasn't good enough.
Well, speaking of this press conference, didn't Trump again mention South Korea?
He did. And this was in the process of President Trump kind of going off on NATO for not helping the U.S. in the war. And then he quickly segued to South Korea, saying, quote, do you know who else didn't help us? South Korea. Trump again claimed that the U.S. has some 45,000 troops right next to Kim Jong-un, who has, quote, lots of nuclear weapons. We do always have to fact check that the actual figure is 28,500. But then this has always been the pattern. He kind of goes off on NATO, then to the other allies. This time the same. He then named Australia and Japan for not helping the U.S., while also praising Gulf nations, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE, Bahrain, and Kuwait for helping the U.S.
Well, I wish he would at least just get the number correct. It's 28,500.
Right.
I don't know.
Also, these Gulf nations are directly under attack. You have to note.
All right. We have previously talked about how this war may be the first one that fully utilizes artificial intelligence, AI, for intel gathering and processing. But this is happening from all sides.
Right. And of course, always weapons or even technology that is a double-edged sword. If you can use it, your enemy can. Also, not quite the enemy, but frenemy. Nations that are in interesting relations. We're going to talk about China. So there are reports that private Chinese companies are publishing U.S. military activity information using AI. So specifically, there are these social media investigators that have identified posts, quote, detailing equipment at U.S. bases, the movement of American carrier groups, and granular breakdowns of how military aircrafts were assembled for strikes on Tehran. So basically, sensitive military information.
Right.
The Washington Post reported this and said that it's becoming a fast-growing new market. So there are companies making money off of it. So it marries, meaning combines AI with open source data to market information they claim can expose the movement of U.S. forces.
I see. Well, an important thing to distinguish is that this isn't information that's been leaked or hacked, but is publicly available.
Right. So it is open source data, meaning even you or I could have access to it. So that includes satellite imagery, flight tracking systems, and maritime shipping information. But how they're enhanced is by AI. So these companies will use AI tools to process the data and produce detailed intelligence.
I see.
So the growing AI capability of Chinese firms especially is making these tools even more powerful. And companies are then making them available online or selling them commercially. But this, of course, raises security concerns. So apart from the obvious ones, military intel being shared, some raise concerns on whether Beijing is using these private companies to support Iran in a roundabout way. So Russia has been, it's known to be directly feeding information to Iran. China hasn't really been directly implicated in this war. So to that end, the U.S. government reportedly asked some of the private satellite companies to indefinitely suspend distributing pictures of Iran and the Middle East as the war is going on.
I see. Well, thank you for going over all the top stories, and we'll check in with you in hour number 2. Thank you, Haley.
See you in a bit.
All right, it's time for a song break. This is a song request from Umberto's 사랑했다 by Icon.
사랑을 했다 우리가 만나 지우지 못할 추억이 됐다 볼만한 멜로드라마 괜찮은 결말 그거면 됐다 널 사랑했다 우리가 만든 love scenario 이젠 조명이 꺼지고 마지막 페이지를 넘기면 조용히 마주한다는 건 오늘이 어떤 우리의 어제 또는 내일이 없다는 건 아프긴 해도 더 끌었음 상처가 더 나니까 널 사랑했고 사랑받았으니 난 이걸로 됐어
나 살아가면서 가끔씩 떠오를 기억 그 안에 네가 있다면 그거면 충분해
사랑을 했다 우리가 만나 지우지 못할 추억이 됐다 볼만한 멜로드라마 괜찮은 결말 그거면 됐다 널 사랑했다
우리가 만든 love scenario 이젠 조명이 꺼지고 마지막 페이지를 넘기면 조용히 먹을 내리죠
갈비뼈 사이사이가 지릿지릿한 느낌 나 사랑받고 있음을 알게 해주는 노래 너에게 참 많이도 배웠다 반쪽은 채웠다 과거로 두기엔 너무 소중한 사람이었다 나 살아가면서 가끔씩 떠오를 기억 그 안에 네가 있다면 그거면 충분해
사랑을 했다 우리가 만나 지우지 못할 추억이 됐다 볼만한 멜로드라마 괜찮은 결말 그거면 됐다 널 사랑했다
네가 벌써 그립지만 그리워하지 않으려 해 한편의 영화 따스했던 봄으로 너를 기억할게
우리가 만든 love scenario 이젠 조명이 꺼지고 마지막 페이지를 넘기면 조용히 먹을 내리죠
우린 아파트에 받고 우습게 질투도 했어 미친 듯이 사랑했고 우리 이 정도면 됐어
사랑을 했다 우리가 만나 그거면 됐다 널 사랑했다
It is time for Wave
Sports.
All right. We're good today.
Yeah.
Yeah. How are you?
Good. I didn't know I'd walk in here with the human cherry blossom. you're Jackie. You're trying to keep it going.
I am personifying spring. It's a little chilly this morning.
Yes.
Yeah, right?
I had planned on driving on two wheels today.
Yeah.
And then I got up and saw the temperature. I was like,
no.
I'm good. I'm good with the car today.
Yes.
I'm a big fan of the color of your jackets.
Oh, really?
Yes, I love that style.
Ah.
Yeah, I wish I could pull it off. It's just not going to work.
Why? Pink is good. You would look good in pink.
It would make a statement.
Yes.
I think that
don't
would
know
be
what
the
kind, but yes.
Thing. Moving on to the text topic. What do we got today?
What is it? It is how to save your photos or documents. Do you back up? Every time somebody, you get these reminders like back up your files or back up your photos.
I
What do you do?
remember when it was with smartphones with the first time when it automatically backed up to your whatever drive, these things. And I was like, why is everything full? Everything just automatically. Then I had to transfer them out of things.
Right.
I have an external hard drive I use, but I don't know. I'm not saying I don't trust the whole cloud system thing, because obviously everybody uses it. But I don't know. I'd kind of like more control. I'm not sure.
I get nervous though when you hear about okay, we're not celebrities, but when you hear about the celebrity hacks on the clouds.
Oh yeah.
I get nervous.
I would, definitely.
Yeah, so I use
people seeing my feet pics and everything like that.
Yeah, I don't want you to see the intimate our intimate toenails and stuff like that, right?
Exactly.
But we have a family, a huge hard drive.
Yeah, sure.
That we back up periodically,
just
similar. Because family photos are priceless, right?
100%.
Right. And then, just...
But that still makes me nervous.
Everything makes me nervous.
Yeah. I have a couple of friends back home who every month they take photos and put them into an album and then they have it printed out or like they do one a year for a kid.
Sure.
And but my friend goes through each month and picks out like 4 or 5 cool pictures.
The really important ones.
Yeah, so then
just in case.
puts it into a photo album at the end of the year, like
That's a great
2015,
idea.
2016. Because it's extremely cheap to do that.
Right.
To make albums.
I like.
So, yeah.
All right. Let's jump into some sports news. What do you have for us?
The World Cup. The World Cup is set.
Okay.
Yeah, so the full 48-team field for the 2026 FIFA World Cup is officially locked in, and the final round of qualifiers delivered some, I won some plenty of drama.
Okay.
But also surprises and some quite the historic moments maybe for some teams the good, some teams the bad.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go with these here, these gentlemen.
Okay,
All
okay.
right. Among the biggest storylines is Bosnia and Herzegovina stunned Europe by knocking out Italy.
Oh my gosh.
Making the third
That's
straight
huge.
World Cup that the Italians will miss. Which was really funny because the game went to penalties. And do you know how in penalty shootouts, the goalkeepers, like on their water bottle, they have like a list. That,
Oh no.
The goalie had the list of players on a sheet of paper. And a fan jumped over, ran over, grabbed the list, ran back off the field. Nobody saw him. Some cameras did. And then the Italian goalie went over and he was like, hey, where's this paper? And then they lost the shootout 4-1, I think it was.
Oh no. Did he not memorize?
Gotta have it up here.
I was going to say, did he not memorize?
I don't know. I think the Italians, probably took it a little bit for granted in the thought, like, okay, it's Bosnia, like, we should be able to roll over
we're
them.
Italia. We're going to go all the way, right?
Now, while Turkey returns to the tournament for the first time in 24 years, which is absolutely amazing. I feel like here in Korea, we're a bit spoiled. We're there, every year. And it's like, but I would hate it for them not to make it because then I don't think there'd be as much coverage on TV.
True. It's like,
So Korea keep making it. We love it. All right.
Yes.
Sweden also booked their place in dramatic fashion thanks to a late goal by Victor Gyökeres, and Czechia survived a tense penalty shootout to qualify. Elsewhere, history was made by DR Congo reach their first ever World Cup, and Iraq secured a long-awaited return to the tournament for the first time since 1986.
Okay.
Yeah. Now,
The
48
format's
teams.
different, I was gonna
48
say,
teams.
yeah.
We've talked about this before. Now, South Korea finds itself in Group A. I mentioned this because we weren't sure who was going to be the fourth team in that group.
Yes.
Co-host Mexico, South Africa, and Czechia. Now, a group that offers a lot of opportunity, but some serious challenges. I think Korea's going to have to get off to a good start here.
Yes.
To make sure that they can make it into the round of 16. Or how's the knockout stages? I think they're a little bit different. We'll get to that on another day.
Yes.
All right. Group D, which is the U.S., Turkey, Paraguay, and Australia. And Group F, which I think is going to be one of the ones where people are going to be watching because it has the Netherlands, Sweden, Japan, and Tunisia in there. So there's a lot of, it's really unpredictable. I think some groups have one team where you could be like, yeah, okay, they're not going to do much, right? It's okay. But then it's going to be who's going to be in the top 3 and then the top 2. And then obviously whoever wins their group automatically moves on.
Yes.
But it'll be interesting to see how it goes.
All right. So, oh my gosh, it's like a little over 2 months. I'm so excited.
I'm pumped. Did you get your press pass? Are we
I was going to say, are we going on the same plane?
Are we taking the BFM company jet?
Yes.
We got
the producer's looking at us nervously, like,
we got the PJ heading to the U.S., Canada, and New Mexico. Sign me up. I'm there.
I'm there. North America, here we come. All right. Another event, though, that you and I both are probably looking forward to.
I can't wait.
Okay.
Spring is here, and that
the green
means
jacket.
The Masters is here.
Some tournaments are measured in years, but this one by its moments.
If you're gonna do it right. Brilliant.
Since the very beginning, the Masters has been a stage where the greatest players have come to make themselves unforgettable, one spring at a time.
Ben Crenshaw has won the Masters for a second time.
With these moments came unrelenting emotions.
What a shot. Scheffler outshines them all at Augusta. The long journey is over. McIlroy has his masterpiece.
It's Masters Week.
It's Green Jacket Week. I want that green jacket. Oh.
Yeah, I should have wore my sparkly green jacket today.
Okay.
Oh,
next week.
come on.
Okay.
Yeah, well, that's good. So it's Masters Week at Augusta National Golf Club, and as always, the spotlight is on who's ready to handle golf's most iconic stage. Actually, I'm just curious to see what's going to be on Rory McIlroy's menu.
Dinner menu.
The dinner
right.
menu, right? Which is always kind of fun.
Love
right,
it.
so, last year, he is chasing back-to-back green jackets after finally completing his career Grand Slam last year.
Right.
But this year has been quite inconsistent for him.
That's right.
But I would say there's lots of times people go into the Masters who've been having disastrous years, and they do
good.
very well.
Right.
Now, I would say world number one, Scottie Scheffler, looks like the man to beat.
They just had a baby.
Yeah.
Remy, congratulations.
Yeah. Slow down, dude. Give someone else a chance.
Oh, sorry.
Not you.
Oh.
I mean, Scotty.
Okay.
World number one. Give someone else the title.
I was going to say. Yes,
I love it. Cat's like, why are you yelling at me?
I know.
So he's already a 2-time master champion, going for his third. Heading into Augusta, especially from the PGA Tour, it looks like probably the most consistent right now.
Yes.
Now, beyond those two, we're looking at Bryson DeChambeau. It brings a lot of momentum coming off the LIV Tour.
Right.
And then also a young rising star, Cameron Young, coming off a massive win at the Players.
Yeah.
Who looks ready to break through at the Masters. While John Ram, who always thrives in these big stages and also is doing pretty well over on LIV. And then Justin Rose is somebody who always to look out for at Augusta. Now, I'm always a huge fan of this. It's the commercials. It's the announcers.
I love it.
It's just everything that is Augusta. It's spring is here.
That's right. That's right. So, any Korean nationals who are looking to bring home the green jackets?
Yeah, for sure. So South Korea will have 2 representatives at this year's Masters, unless something goes, something this week, maybe an early add-on or a late add-on. Sorry. But the invitees are Im Sung-jae and Kim Shi-yu.
Oh, yes.
Both bring real potential here at Augusta. I mean, I would probably hope to see them in at least the top 10, at least one of them in the top 10. But it's, again, with Augusta being Augusta and everybody coming in. And it's also the spotlight on most majors, but this one, it's extra special. You know what I mean? Where people, I feel they'll have a good, Thursday, Friday, and then moving day comes on Saturday. And then it just changes. And that's where the veterans come in and take control.
Yes.
But it is a smaller Korean presence this year. A lot of people were hoping for Tom Kim to be in there as well.
He's having a bad 2 years.
A bad 2 years, exactly. But both players have the experience to make some noise if they get rolling early.
All right. So we're going to move from the greens to the ice.
We're going to move the ice, but I'm going to keep the ice on ice for a moment.
Okay.
All right, because I want to leave on a high note. So I want to get some business.
Okay.
Get some business out of the way
Let's get the
first.
business out of the way. What
is it? And this is talking about the KBO and the Lotte Giants.
Must we?
I don't know if any of you out there remember. I was here last week. High hopes. I was like that song by Fall Boy. I think that's who sang it. With Lotte winning their first 2 games of the season up in Daegu against the Samsung Lions. And then last week, they go to NC in Changwon Masan, go 0 for 3. There was there was one tight game. And then over the weekend, the Landers were in town here, and they made short work of the Lotte Giants. But again, a couple of tight games, and especially on Sunday, it was the 9th inning where they kind of threw it away, literally threw it away. And it makes it so in the standings, Lotte go from at the top. They took the elevator on a free fall all the way to the bottom of the standings. They are currently tied for,
Last place, isn't it?
no, you could say tied for 8th. It's a 10-team league, but it's they're tied for 8th. the three teams at the bottom
so
are all
optimistic,
tied.
Andrew.
Hey, you have to be at this point of the season. It is a long season. But if you're looking to go to games, I was checking actually yesterday. So they are in town against the TUES this week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Games all start at 6:30. There are quite a few tickets still available. This isn't because of what went on in the weekend.
Yes.
It's just people are still busy. It's a little bit chillier in the evening. Actually, I think it's a great time to go to the ballpark. All the tickets are mostly on the third baseline, though. And also midweek games are a bit cheaper.
I love
So you
the
might wanna
comments
check it
coming
out.
up. Tommy, 봄에도 못함. Come on.
Stay positive, Tommy.
You were born in Busan. You're a
Yes.
Busanite, even though you're now in Yongsan. Come on.
Yes. Stay
be
positive.
Be loyal and positive.
Be positive.
Yes.
Now, if you are a fan who maybe lives up in the Seoul region,
Yes.
Lotte, head up to Seoul this weekend to take on the Kium Heroes on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So if you're looking to check that out, maybe that is an option for you. But I think, we always have a roller coaster with the Lotte Giants. And then, also, I don't know if we just expect sometimes for things to fall off that proverbial cliff, but because it usually has happened for a while. But I'd say to our listeners, to the fans out there, stay positive. They're trying to work out some kinks there as it is. And then hopefully they can get the bats rolling.
I hope
they are
so.
getting some runs. It's those late innings where, that was a few years ago where they were struggling.
Yes.
And it's creeping back in, but hopefully they can get rid of that early.
All right. So maybe it's just like the early kinks. Get them out quickly. Stat.
But we don't want to put them on ice, but
No.
we are moving to the ice.
All right.
The NHL playoff push, the race for the Stanley Cup. We only have 10 days left in the NHL regular season, and the playoff picture is coming into sharp focus.
Okay.
I'm so excited.
Yes.
Because in the Eastern Conference, the Montreal Canadiens, the team I cheer for, have officially joined the Tampa Bay Lightning, Buffalo Sabres, and the Carolina Hurricanes in the postseason club, clinching their berth this weekend. Now, this is probably one of the best times to watch hockey, not just because of the playoffs, because of the wild card race.
Okay.
The other two teams that will make it in, and it's so tight in both sides of the league, in the East, in the West. There's probably 4 teams on either side that are still, I want to say, mathematically can still make it in.
Yes.
So I don't want to. I don't want their fans coming after me.
Okay,
right?
okay.
Out west, Leslie and her Colorado Avalanche.
Oh, they're doing well.
They've been in the playoffs, I think, now for 6 months because of the way they kicked off the season. They're in there while everyone else is kind of in a pillow fight in the Pacific Division. That's not my words. That's the words of Connor McDavid from the Edmonton Oilers. He famously said, our division is a pillow fight, meaning it's like someone's winning, someone's losing, and it's just all for fun, it seemed. I don't know. But anyway, so the puck drops on the postseason on April 18th.
Okay.
I can't wait for that. We have the Masters. We have the NHL playoffs. Of course, the NBA playoffs will be coming up as well.
Yes.
And then gearing up for the World Cup.
That's right.
Yeah.
65 days.
Get your gear. I saw the new jerseys for Korea. And that's one of the things I love about the World Cup is, the new kits. I cannot wait. I'm trying to think of which color I might buy.
Ooh.
But Korea always has their third kit or their away kit is always,
Fire.
the classic
I like
red,
Yeah.
is always good.
It's always good, but still.
I like the other ones.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
some of the other nations, but it was funny. I saw a post the other day and it was like some of the best kits you will not see at this summer's World Cup. Some of them are so nice. And then it was like, and last but not least, Italy. Come on, people. Come
Right. People are commenting. Souvenir who says, 골프 이야기에 캐서린 눈 반짝, 아이스 호키 이야기하면 앤드류 눈 반짝. So true.
This is true.
It's
but
true.
also, I'm like the Masters is one of my favorite things. I know.
Yeah.
I know next Monday when I go into work, I'm going to be a zombie.
Yes.
Because I'm going to probably end up staying up watching a bit of the first and then waking up early to watch the final part of the round. So it's the way it's going to be.
Yeah. So definitely, we have a lot to look forward to. I have a little confession. Speaking of golf.
Let's hear it. I love
Speaking
it.
of golf, last weekend, I went to...
Hit a hole in one. She had to buy a tree.
No. I went to Daejeon.
Okay.
And they have that indoor big I can't say the name, but the G,
Oh yeah, I've heard of
there.
it. Okay, how was it?
I went there. It was so much fun.
Yeah?
And I was like, I've never asked for anyone's autograph in my entire life. And I was just like a little kid in a candy store. I was so happy to see all the pro, golfers.
How was the weather?
Taking photos. Who cares? It was indoors. Who cares?
Oh, she's taking.
너무 좋았어요. So anyhow.
No weather machine. They can't hit the button.
Yeah.
It's windy.
Yeah.
And it's snowing in Daejeon, South Korea.
So it was fun. Anyhow.
Yeah. Oh, I'm jealous. I'm so jealous. But we also have a golf event coming up here in Busan in late May, and we'll be talking about that a little bit later.
All right. Thank you, Andrew.
Bye-bye, everyone.
It's time to wrap up sports and our one as well. We have a song request from Benny. So this is 나무 by Ka 더 가든. Enjoy. I'll be back at 8.
인사하네요 근심없게 나 아름다운 방식으로 무딘 목소리와 어설픈 자욱들 화려하게 장식해줘요 그대 춤을 추는 나무 같아요 그 안에 투박한 음악은 나예요 내 곁에만 움츠린 두려움들도 애틋한 그림이 되겠죠 그럼 돼요 줄래요 사진처럼 수줍은 맘이 다 녹아내리게 무력한 걸음과 혼잡한 TV 속 세상 없이 또 울기도 해요 그대 춤을 추는 나무 같아요 그림이 되겠죠 그럼 돼요 밤새 모아둔 아스라이 쌓인 고운 마음도 다 가져가쇼 언제든 꺼내볼 수 있죠 그대 춤을 추는 나무 같아요 그림이 되겠죠 그럼
있는 부산. 아이 키우기 좋은 도시는 우리 모두의 미래이자 희망입니다. 이 캠페인은 어린이가 안전한 부산을 만드는 은행, B&K 부산은행과 함께합니다.
Welcome to Busan. Let me show you around. Here you can find the world's largest musical in-ground fountain and the world's only UN memorial cemetery. Stroll along the coast and explore the largest mountain fortress in Korea. As well as all this, there are so many tourist attractions, beautiful exhibitions, vibrant culture, convenient facilities, and delicious foods unique to Busan. With all the beauty and charm of the amazing city of Busan, you'll find yourself right at home in this ever-changing tourism paradise. So stay with us a while. Busan, your #1 tourist destination. Your home, away from home. This campaign is brought to you by BEFM, Busan 영어 방송.
The weather is so nice today. I'm sure this won't be a big deal.
A 3-second-long lapse in judgment can burn up an entire mountain, which will take 100 years to recover. We can protect these lush forests if you follow these guidelines. First, do not bring flammable materials to the mountains. Second, do not cook or camp in the mountains. Third, do not litter cigarette butts. Your small actions are the first step towards protecting the beautiful forest. This campaign is brought to you by BEFM 부산 영어 방송.
The time is now 8 o'clock.
Welcome back, everybody. This is 8 o'clock Spotlight News. Special counsel seeks 10-year sentence for ex-president in appeals. The 조은석 special counsel yesterday requested a 10-year prison term for former President Yoon Suk-yeol in the appeals trial of his obstruction of justice case stemming from his 2024 imposition of martial law. Yoon was convicted by the lower court of obstructing investigators from detaining him last year and calling only select cabinet members to a meeting to review his martial law plan. The special counsel said that Yoon abused his position as president to destroy constitutional order and privatize state power. The appeals court is set to deliver its ruling on April 29th. South Korea's fiscal deficit reaches 104 trillion won last year. South Korea's fiscal deficit reached 104.2 trillion won, the fourth largest figure ever, according to the Ministry of Economy and Finance's 2025 settlement report at the cabinet meeting yesterday. The ministry also said that national debt exceeded 1,300 trillion won last year, with a debt to gross domestic product or GDP ratio nearing 50%. A senior official from the ministry told reporters that the government focused on active fiscal policy rather than pursuing a passive approach focused on cutting total spending. North Korea says President Lee Jae-myung was frank and broad-minded. North Korea's Kim Yo-jong said that the North's leader Kim Jong-un described President Lee Jae-myung as frank and broad-minded following his expression of regret over unauthorized drone flights into the North. Earlier, Lee said during a cabinet meeting that although the drone flight was not an act by the government, he expressed his regret over the unnecessary military tension caused by such reckless behavior. Kim Yo-jong said that Pyongyang appreciated it as a very fortunate and wise behavior, but also warned Seoul to stop any reckless provocation and refrain from any attempt at contact. fuel surcharge to quadruple for domestic flights starting May. The fuel surcharge for some airlines' domestic flights will go up by almost 4.5 times for tickets issued in May amid the continued surge in global oil prices. Korean Air and Asiana Airlines announced yesterday that they will raise their domestic one-way fuel surcharge to 34,100 won, roughly 4.5 times higher than this month's surcharge of 7,700 won. April surcharges for international flights have already gone up by 2 to 3 times compared to March. The new rate is based on the mean of Platts Singapore jet fuel benchmark for the period of March 1st to March 31st. Trump extends Iran's deadline and warns of decimation of civilian infrastructure. U.S. President Donald Trump has extended the deadline for Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz to 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Tuesday, warning that every bridge in Iran will be decimated. The comments came during the U.S. president's press conference just hours ago, where he said that Iran could be taken out in one night, and that might be tomorrow night. Meanwhile, Iran says it has formally rejected a U.S. proposal for a ceasefire while calling for a definitive end to the war. And this was Spotlight News. It's time for a special interview on this Tuesday morning. As the war in the Middle East enters its second month, global attention remains on the Strait of Hormuz, a critical route for energy and trade. Recent reports show that some ships, including European and Japanese vessels, have begun passing through again, but under tightly controlled conditions. Iran is no longer just threatening to block the strait, it is actively deciding who can pass and on what terms, turning a vital global trade route into a strategic tool. Amid rising tensions and growing pressure from the United States, this raises questions about who ultimately controls one of the world's most important checkpoints. So today we're going to break down what this means for the region and the global order. Joining us is Professor Samer Shihada, and he is the Colin Mackey and Patricia Molina de Mackey Associate Professor of Middle East Studies in the Department of International and Area Studies at the University of Oklahoma. Hi, welcome to our show.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Professor, to start us off, if you could briefly walk us through what's been happening in the Strait of Hormuz in recent days.
Yes, well, since the war began, since the Israeli and the United States attacks on Iran have begun, the number of vessels passing through the strait, and as you know, and as your listeners know, the strait is essential for the transportation of oil and liquefied natural gas, in addition to other cargo items to much of the rest of the world. The number of vessels that have been allowed to, or that have tried to pass through the strait has been significantly reduced, whereas usually about 135 to 140 ships transit the strait on a daily basis. The figure is down now to perhaps 15, 20, sometimes even less ships a day. And that's because, of course, of the war, because of threats to attack shipping, and because of actual attacks on some ships already over the last few weeks that have made it quite dangerous to try to transit through the Strait of Hormuz as an intentional strategy, of course, by the Iranian government in this war.
Yes. And, Iran does appear to be deciding who can pass and under what conditions. So what do you think is driving this strategy?
Well, Iran has officially said that all countries can pass through the Straits of Hormuz other than those that are attacking Iran or supporting the attacks. Now, that perhaps isn't completely accurate, but it is the case that some countries have been allowed to transit their flagged vessels through the straits. Recently, Iraqi tankers have gone through in the past, Chinese vessels, Omani vessels, of course, which are on the other side of the strait. There have been Japanese, Pakistani vessels, and so on. But, of course, this is a political decision on the part of the Iranians. So countries that seem to be closely allied with the United States, not only supporting but closely allied, have not been allowed, or they're perceived to be threats. And of course, there is some opacity in terms of whether specific agreements and payments, in fact, have been made by these countries to allow passage for their vessels through the straits. There have been reports that there have been amounts paid for transit. And of course, the Iranians now are publicly debating whether in the future there will be some kind of a tariff regime imposed by them or by them and Oman on vessels that transit the Strait of Hormuz.
Right. And so going back to that whole idea of imposing tolls, so do we know for sure if that has begun? I know that there were many news stories regarding this saying that's what they're, I guess, exploring. But do we know for sure if countries or companies, if they've actually paid the so-called toll?
We don't know. There have been some reports speculating that and so on. And what we do know is that Iranian officials are debating this idea in Iran right now. And of course, there have been some talks between Iranian and Omani officials about setting something like this up in the future. Of course, that would contravene the idea that this is an international shipping route and that countries are allowed to use this for maritime trade. But of course, Iran is doing this out of pressure as part of their strategy to bring pressure on the United States and on other powers who would then put pressure on the United States to end the war. I mean, Iran cannot easily strike at American targets. They've done so, of course, in the region. And this is their way to try to disperse the pressure on President Trump and the United States to bring this war to an end in a manner that is acceptable to Iran.
Yes. I'm very curious, though, like historically speaking, has Iran always controlled the Strait of Hormuz?
Well, there has never been in the past, the threats that have been made in this explicit way and the actual targeting of vessels. And so there has been now. So, this could have taken place in the past, but Iran hasn't been at war with the United States or Israel for this long in the past. It is the case that during the Iran-Iraq war between 1980 and 1988, there were some attacks by both countries on shipping in the Persian Gulf. And in fact, the United States flagged some vessels at that time in order to try to prevent attacks by either Iran or Iraq on those vessels. But nothing similar to what we've seen recently, and certainly nothing that has caused this much economic pain globally.
Yes, absolutely. In terms of U.S. President Donald Trump, he has said many things, and he has also suggested that the U.S. may not take full responsibility for reopening the strait. How might this affect perceptions of U.S. leadership? Because, of course, we've heard the statements that he has made in terms of whether it's NATO, European allies, Asian allies as well, South Korea being name-checked several times in terms of, being more supportive of the war effort against Iran, but kind of backtracking now, saying not taking responsibility for reopening the strait. What might this mean?
Well, of course, the United States any country that would attempt to open the Straits of Hormuz forcibly would come under attack, and there would be the potential of significant loss of life in addition to military equipment. Because of the narrowness of the strait and because of the tremendous length of the Iranian coastline, in addition to the Iranian islands, a number of islands that are in the straits, that some of which have military purposes and so on, it would be a daunting task, and it would likely include casualties in addition to significant military operations. And that's why I think the United States doesn't want to undertake this at all or by itself. Of course, President Trump has said a lot of things, and I think the question of American credibility goes beyond this particular incident. I mean, whatever one thinks of the Iranian regime, the war that Israel and the United States launched on Iran at the end of last month is illegal in the sense that it was not sanctioned by the UN Security Council. It was also unprovoked in the sense that there was no imminent threat to Israel or the United States and so on. So the standing of the United States, I think, has been damaged quite significantly because of that, certainly perceptions among the global South, and also because after 4 weeks, the most powerful military in the world, along with arguably the most powerful military in the Middle East, have not been able to open the Straits of Hormuz, have not been able to end missile attacks on Arab Gulf countries or Israel. And so I think that has also damaged to some extent perceptions of United States military strength and capabilities globally.
And so amid President Trump's multiple extensions of said deadlines, threatening to attack, whether it's infrastructure or So do you think that with this deadline looming, April 8th, is it local time now? He's changed it a few times. What likely do you think is going to happen? I know it's very difficult to foretell or to foresee, but in your opinion, what might happen?
Of course. And you're right. It's very difficult, if not impossible, particularly with this administration. I mean, first, I think it's important to say that President Trump seems to enjoy or use this kind of a bargaining strategy, right? Maximum threats first as a way to put pressure on whatever country or individual he's negotiating with. So we've seen that in the past.
Okay.
I think, secondly, it needs to be said that the Iranians, of course, have rejected this, and they've already said that's unacceptable and that there would be repercussions, increased attacks, if that were the case. I think it also needs to be said that attacking civilian infrastructure, bridges, and so on, that would be really unquestionably war crimes. That's not allowed under the rules of war as such. And I think it does need to be said quite explicitly that that would really contravene international law and would be unacceptable, and I think would put the United States in an even less a positive position with regard to this conflict.
Yes, and for a final question, Professor, I'm very curious because seemingly from what we know, the U.S. wants a ceasefire. Iran saying that they wanted a definitive end to the war. So is that what the main holdup may be in terms of discussions to end the war, or is there much more that they cannot agree upon?
I think that's the main issue. What Iran wants is not a ceasefire. They don't want a temporary cessation of hostilities for 10 days or 45 days with the possibility of another war taking place in 3 months or 6 months and a year.
Okay.
They want a definitive end to the conflict, and they want it also guaranteed by parties that they trust, because, of course, there's absolutely no trust that the Iranians have for the United States. Remember, the war took place while the United States was supposedly negotiating with Iran. And so there's absolutely no trust that the Iranians have in this administration, I think for good reason. So they would like other parties that they trust, whether it's China, Russia, other states, and so on, to be involved in this, a definitive end to the hostilities. And they also want an agreement that goes beyond the current conflict, meaning the end of sanctions on Iran, these debilitating economic sanctions that have been in place for quite some time and have led to huge economic suffering as well as pressure on the regime. So that's what the Iranians want. Yes. And they believe that they can tolerate pain longer than President Trump can.
Well, we shall see, of course, what happens in the next couple of days. I think we're definitely at an important part of this conflict. But thank you so much for coming on air with us, sharing your expertise and opinions with our listeners. Take care, Professor.
Thank you, Catherine. Thank you.
This was Professor Samer Shihada, and we talked about the latest in terms of, we focus on the Strait of Hormuz, but also what may happen, whether it is a ceasefire or a complete end to the conflict. We're going to have to wait and see. This was your special interview. I'll be back with your updated traffic and weather.
Good morning.
Good morning.
굿모닝입니다.
Good morning.
좋은 아침입니다.
Morning wave in Busan.
Morning wave in Busan.
Morning wave in Busan.
Major news, local buzz, and expert takes. It's all here on Morning Wave in Busan. Brighten up your morning commute with Morning Wave in Busan.
Morning wave in Busan.
It's time for your updated traffic report. Let's talk about this accident that happened on Dongbyunglo from Puam intersection to Yeonji three-way intersection right past the Puam intersection. Also, it's congested on Gwanmun-daero from Sujang Tunnel to Pier number 5. There's a backup on Mandakdaero from Sukdung to Deokcheon intersection. And it's quite busy on Hakgam-daero from Sasan-Gucheong intersection to Hakjang intersection. Currently, it's 10 degrees Celsius here in Busan under clear skies. The daytime high will go up to 14 degrees. Across the nation, it is cold, near zero temperatures in some areas for that final bit of winter push. We call it Gotsamchui. As some of you are mentioning, you feel it. So you're going to have to bundle up. This was your traffic and weather. It is time for Wagga Wagga Tea Time. Haley's here.
Do you have the script?
Yes, I have. I'm good. People are like, what was it?
You know, it's our own little Easter egg hunt, the script hunt.
Yes.
You gotta.
You know, our team is so organized. You know, everything is placed right here. I have another little, stand there. And then, I was talking to Haley off air about how much I love the professor and he has such good insight. And then I kept on, moving all my scripts.
We can't multitask.
Yes, apparently not. So we're going to jump into this first story for Wagga Wagga. We're going to talk about this court case regarding a working dad.
All right, so this story combines, working father, religion, and also military service.
Right.
So all these sensitive topics, let's dive in. The case involves his father, who is serving alternative service due to his religious convictions.
Sure.
He filed for an administrative court case to let him commute from home instead of doing live-in training.
Okay.
That case was turned down. So what is the background? The plaintiff is a Jehovah's Witness. So we call that 여호와의 증인. And because of that particular religious conviction, he or the members cannot serve in active duty, right? So instead, he began his alternative service in October of 2023.
Okay.
But about a year later, his wife, I'm assuming, had a baby. So the family welcomed the baby. And in May of last year, he requested that he be able to use a full-time reserve service system. In Korean, that's 상근 예비역. What that means, basically, he would be able to go home at night and commute from home rather than staying in the barracks or dorms or live-in training with the rest of his with the rest of them.
Yes, but the defense ministry did not allow him to do this.
That's right. So he has to stay and live in training. And he then filed an administrative lawsuit saying that this is an act of discrimination against alternative service members because under similar circumstances for active duty, a person in a similar situation would be able to commute from home.
Oh, okay. So why did the court turn down this request?
Right. So interestingly, the court didn't actually rule on whether this was discriminatory Discriminatory Act or not, but basically his case didn't even qualify to be tried.
Okay.
Because based on the law, the Act on Alternative Service, it stipulates that alternative service members serve on a live-in 합숙 basis and offers no exception. So there is no law that stipulates this. The court also cited precedents, a constitutional court case from 2024, which said that live-in service was an appropriate measure to ensure fairness for these alternative duty versus active duty. Because if alternative duty is perceived to have better treatments, easier time, then, well, why would anyone serve in active duty? Was the reasoning. So forcing this live-in system to a service member with children, that doesn't excessively infringe upon his basic rights.
I see. Well, thanks for the clarification on that story. All right, let's talk about cybersecurity. And this is so, about our text topic, right? We often warn you about not opening links from unknown users, whether it be via email or phone, but another thing to look out for, and when I read this earlier, I was just like, really? Is this true? USB drives? Really?
I've heard this, but the figure is actually really eye-opening.
Okay.
So whatever you call them, the USB drives, thumb drives, the removable whatever, the saving devices. So I'm not tech, whatever at all. These can be a major weakness for your cybersecurity. So last year, almost 9.2 million South Korean users were exposed to local security threats via these USB devices.
Yes.
This is according to a global cybersecurity firm, Kaspersky report. So they analyze cyber threat data from millions of participants globally and detect unknown malware. So among the data gathered from South Korean participants, they detected 9,194,000 local threats. So local threats are malware spread via movable devices like mostly USBs, although they do count CDs and DVDs. But again, old school, a lot of computers won't even have the slots anymore.
Right.
This accounted for about 31% of all users. Again, 31%, almost a third of all users.
Yes.
This threat, the localized threat, was actually higher than web-based cyber threats, which you and I would think would be the bigger threat, but those came to 6.5 million as opposed to 9.1 million. So the company said that we are in this era where we're seeing all these different types of cyber threats based on this advanced digitalized environment and called for a multi-layered security strategy.
Right. And then we have our resident engineer who says, recommend format before using USB drive. I don't even know what that means.
Like format it,
yeah. Well, I know, but I know what it means,
I've
but I
seen
don't know
the
how to do
pop-up of do you want to? I'm like, I don't know what that is.
So I always click no, just to be safe, because I don't know.
And as all the engineers and they're
cringing right now.
They're cringing right now.
Yes.
Sorry, we apologized.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Well, up next, there is a local cherry blossom spot in Busan that has gotten famous enough to be a film site for, this is news, for a Netflix show, but this has left a lot of people upset. Why?
So this site is called 부산 진구 계금 문화 벚꽃길. So this is on this hill, like a very short stretch, and you can kind of see it on a hill where there's a really charming mix of like old-timey homes, old village with cherry blossom trees. But according to reports, there was a Netflix series that was being filmed here from the evening of April 1st for 2 full days, including from 6:30 p.m. on April 2nd to the morning of the 3rd, when the crew blocked off some 20-meter portion of that road.
Okay.
So this 20 meters, not terribly long, but that 벚꽃길 isn't long either. I actually not lived by it, but it's fairly close.
Yes.
And that particular stretch apparently has this very famous photo spot for cherry blossoms.
I see.
Yeah.
So it seems that people came from far away just to see this particular spot of cherry blossoms.
Right, only to see the backs of trucks and backs of camera crew and had to be turned away. So on social media, one woman who says she came from Seoul, hopefully this wasn't the only reason, but said some people waited, quote, all year to see this road in full bloom, and it's absurd for a production company to stake claim over this public road. They also complained about the crew's vehicles and filming equipment blocking the narrow roads in days before the shoot. Because again, from my knowledge and my experience of being there, the road is a residential road. It's typical Busan 삼복도로. It's hilly, it's curvy, and it connects to not only homes, but also their local schools there too.
Yes. Well, I mean, what are the rules or laws on blocking streets for film filming, just so we know?
That's the problem. That's why there are always, quite often these disputes amongst, residents and tourists versus the camera crew. There aren't clear criteria.
Okay.
So according to Netflix and Busan Film Commission, the commission provided support for the local filming. They didn't have to get separate approval to occupy the road. So that would be 도로 점용 허가. That's sometimes given for protests, but that's only for roads with vehicles. To occupy a vehicle road.
Yes.
This wasn't. This was kind of a pedestrian/vehicle road. So it only asked for cooperation with the district office and the police. The thing is, though, local governments do give approval, so this is all done under permission, but it's more kind of like a on paper sort of a thing.
See.
And local governments will definitely consider impacts like PR and tourism, but as for perhaps safety or inconvenience to the residents, that's sometimes not considered quite as heavily.
I see. I took a little peek at the messages and I thought somebody was calling us fat 32.
Excuse me?
And then I looked it up. It's apparently a compatible 32-bit file system that you use for USB drives. It was like a recommendation. I was just like, I just saw it in capital letters.
I'm like, you know what, just call me fat. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, whatever that means. Okay, moving on. All right. Nearly every country in the world is trying to cut back on fuel. Us included, right? But this country is going above and beyond. So
Right, so of course there's a campaign in South Korea to use public transportation, but Pakistan is making its public transport free for the next month, right? But the process came because, politicians were kind of pushed to do so. So last week, the government reached a late night decision, meaning it seems that people didn't really know about it, to raise petrol prices by 42.7%.
Right.
So that came to $1.74 per liter. That's about 2,600 won per liter.
Okay.
This incited street protests. Also, long lines at fuel stations.
Yeah.
So the following day, the Prime Minister, Shehbaz Sharif, backpedaled on it and lowered gasoline prices, but still to 2,000 won per liter. That's gasoline. Diesel prices, which are used for more industrial usage.
Oh, no. How much?
8,400 won per liter. Yeah, that is massively huge.
Okay. And so the free public transportation was in line with this move?
Right. So according to the Interior Minister on social media, all public transport in the capital, Islamabad, will be made free for the general public for the next 30 days. That's in effect now. So this is done regionally. The chief minister of Punjab, and that's the most populous province, also lifted the cost of travel for state-run public transport and announced subsidies for trucks and buses.
I see. So, this fuel hike, though, triggered by the Middle East conflict, has heavily impacted several Asian countries, though.
Right. So they rely on fuel imports. Not a lot of Asian countries, Southeast Asia, and here, Northeastern, we're not fuel producers. They have therefore had to hike fuel prices or implement other measures to address this crisis. The IMF, the International Monetary Fund, warned that vulnerable economies such as Pakistan and many others did not just face pressure from higher energy prices, but also supply chain issues that are now caused by the fuel prices.
I see. Well, thanks for letting us know about that story. Well, we need a cleanser. We need a good story.
We really
do you have one for us?
All right. So, in our number one, we talked about some who have received medals of honor, having that revoked because they've committed crimes.
Right.
But now smaller acts or actions that honor veterans.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So there's a young entrepreneur, 사장님, who is a 국밥집 사장님, runs a 국밥 place in Nowongu district in Seoul. Young, 32. This young man started a program this year where he serves veterans of the Korean War, Vietnam War, and other patriots for free.
Wow.
So on his social media, this Mr. Park shared an instance. He had an elderly gentleman come in. He learned that this man served in the Vietnam War and, did the whole, free dinner, free lunch thing. And it seemed that Mr. Park really made this veteran feel welcomed and honored, respected. Because several days later, during a weekend, the older gentleman came back. But this time, he was in his full military uniform, which he apparently dusted off after all these years to kind of like show off in a positive way.
Right.
Wear with pride.
And apparently this isn't all he does, Mr. Park.
Right. So he also offers free meals to seniors. We call it 폐지 줍는, so who pick up scrap paper and metal on the streets. So he says this is great. He just wants everybody in his neighborhood to be happy. And this is creating this virtuous cycle because after it went viral on social media, his landlord stopped by, and he said he was giving Park 50,000 won off of his rent to put that money towards feeding those who need to.
Right.
So Park thanked those who have cheered him on, and I don't know why, but some people criticize, saying, I don't know, they're unhappy.
Why are people criticizing this?
That this was PR. Like this, he's trying to 홍보. I'm like, but he also said, who cares if I'm, this is for PR or if it's me pretending to be a good person. As long as I keep continue to do this, then that's really all that matters.
Well, let's applaud.
We're applauding him.
We're applauding. I mean, he's so young and he's doing things that, we want to do. And Tommy says if we had a building, might be able to do that. But regardless.
Give me the coordinates to his store so I can stop by when I'm in Seoul.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for all the Woggly news. And of course, we'll check in with you tomorrow. Thank you, Haley.
Have a great day.
All right, we are ready for another song. This is Zeppelin by Primary and Anda.
처럼 방안 가득지 이기지 못할 무퇴색빛 공기 물끄러미 창문을 바라봐 비가 올 것 같아 널 기다리고 있어 저 끝내 눈을 마주치지 못하겠지만 손끝으로 톡 날 어루만지듯 네 손길에 심장이 따끔해 틈없이 난 묽게 번져가는 걸 나를 태워줘 You're my jet plane My jet plane 더 높은 곳으로 Like jet plane Like jet plane 그 방울 입맞춤으로 내게 스며들고 빛을 감춘 네가 내리면 너란 비에 흠뻑 젖겠어 밤새 헤엄치겠어 끝없이 내려줘 불은 꺼도 돼 because I'm bright 너로 물든 난 red light Baby give me a life 새벽을 훔치자 별이 빛나는 밤이 들리게 해줘 나를 태워줘 You're my jet plane My jet plane 더 높은 곳으로 Like jet plane Like jet plane 볼 때는 기분 Like jet plane Like jet plane 날 데려가줘 Take me higher Too higher You make me simple Can't see what I hear 언제 다시 또 와줄 거니 네 얼룩만 남겨둔 채 flashback 나를 태워줘 You're my jet plane My jet plane 더 높은 곳으로 Like jet plane Like jet plane 볼 때는 기분 Like jet plane Like jet plane
It's time for Simply Sustainable, and we have a slightly dancing Bonnie. At least with the shoulders.
I would fully dance if I was standing, yeah.
So how are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Good, good. For our text topic today, we're talking about how you save photos or backup files. Do you use a cloud, or what do you do?
Yes, I now use a cloud because unfortunately, I've had my phone hacked or like spyware hacked twice.
Oh, seriously?
So I've lost all my photos. So now I have like several clouds and folders and places that I
just
save
in
them.
case.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, that's terrible.
Yeah. And I'm a person that takes a lot of pictures. So I was so sad when they all got lost. And I try to print some now too.
Yeah. That's definitely that's coming
Old-fashioned.
back. Right. No, but it's coming back. Everything, retro, but good, it's coming back.
Yeah.
So. All right. So what are we tackling today?
Okay, so today is kind of like part 2 from what I talked about last week.
Okay.
And last week I covered a documentary on the dun. Did you guys get it?
Yeah.
I practiced that.
I know, it's so good.
Every time I watch it, I'm like dun.
I
So
see
hope
the
you guys
image,
get that.
the streaming lines.
Oh, great.
With the
Okay.
red,
All that practice
Yes.
was worth it. Anyway, this new documentary, it really sheds some light on the health effects of plastics on our bodies, especially on fertility.
Okay.
So if you are somebody out there or you know somebody out there that is trying to have a baby, trying to make a family, then I really recommend this documentary for you. And it's not just the women. I know we hear the word fertility and we always think of women.
But it's not.
It's not. There's 2 to tango. So actually, all the men in your life too, anyone who, and even if you're not trying right now, if you are thinking later on down the line, you would like to start a family and have children, I really, really recommend watching this documentary because there are very alarming things in it of the relation of plastics and our fertility and just health in general.
Okay.
So I said this last week, but I do want to reshare this. Plastics are the most harmful thing for your body. So if you are somebody out there that is taking care of your body, as in you go to the gym, you watch what you eat, you're trying to be healthy, maybe you're trying to lose some weight, but you're still having plastics all around your life, that could be probably the worst thing that you could do as far as your health. Because later on down the line, plastics have been linked to all sorts of things like ADD, autism in kids, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, heart attacks, strokes in adults. So all of these things, even if you take good care of your body and you get one of these diseases, especially high risk in cancer, all different kinds of cancer, lowers your testosterone. So if you're going to the gym trying to take care of your body, but you're ingesting all these plastics, you're kind of counteracting all the good that you're doing for your body. So number one thing, I think, for your health, get rid of the plastics.
Okay.
And some of you might think this is really interesting. Like I said, if you're going to the gym trying to control your weight and maybe you are trying to lose some weight, especially our summer bods, we're trying to get in shape for the beach weather.
Yes.
Plastics also increase your risk of obesity along with the infertility.
Okay.
So bisphenol A, it's a chemical that's in plastics. It can actually reprogram your metabolic genes that actually can increase your obesity. So they did this test on rats, really interesting. So the ones that were exposed to this bisphenol A chemical, they actually were much more obese. And the interesting thing about this is that these changes actually, they didn't just affect the rats themselves, they affected the next generations to come, their offspring.
Oh my gosh.
So 3 to 4 generations following actually had that genetic mutation that caused more obesity.
Right.
So it's not just you. If you yourself are ingesting all these plastics or around all these plastics, it's not just going to affect you, it's going to affect your children, grandchildren,
future
great-grandchildren, and your great-great-grandchildren.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Far-reaching.
Yes, very far-reaching. Okay, so I was just talking about this topic with a friend who is trying to have a family right now. So I told her, get all the plastics out. And she was like, where do I start though?
Yeah, where do we start?
Right? So the unfortunate news is that plastics are just everywhere nowadays, right? And so it's kind of almost impossible to 100% get rid of everything all at once.
Right.
So for her, I think the most effective place starts in the kitchen because, of course, you're cooking. So if you're someone out there that's still using those black plastic ladles, spoons, spatulas, definitely get those out of the kitchen.
Okay.
all of your pans, anything that you cook with, all that Teflon nonstick, that's all leaching plastic into your food that you're putting directly into your body. So I've covered a lot of topics on this, right? The plastics in our clothes, the things that we inhale.
Sure.
So today I wanted to focus on where plastics are hiding. Those mystery items that you might not actually think of are plastic, but actually are. And these ones, you want to be careful.
Okay, so this is important. Okay, listen up, perk up your ears.
You might not hear, you might not have heard of these before because everything else I think I've covered in detail, right? All of the pillows and all that stuff in the fabrics in our clothes. But where are plastics hiding? So the first one, really important, receipts.
Receipts,
receipt
like
paper.
receipt.
Yes. Do not take these. Do not handle with your hands. If at all possible, get the electronic receipts, but definitely do not handle these because that plastic receipt has bisphenol A, the chemical I was talking about before, bisphenol A on it because that's what makes it thermal paper. That makes the print be able to stay on it.
Yes.
So if it's kind of like glossy, that as soon as it touches your hand, you're absorbing that chemical into your skin directly into your bloodstream. So really dangerous.
Okay.
And then on top of that, especially if you have lotions on your hand, hand sanitizer, any kind of cream, that increases absorption by 100%. So all those chemicals are going right into your skin.
Okay.
So if you can, avoid all receipts as much as you can.
Okay, that's doable.
Yes, every time I go into, those parking garages that they make you take those little receipts, I always handle it with my fingernails.
Oh, seriously? Okay.
Because I don't want it to drop into
and
the
street.
And we
don't want to litter. Yeah.
Exactly. But I have to take it, so I'm trying to get it with my fingertips, my fingernails, and not touch it. Because especially if you handle it with your hands, and then of course your hands touch your face.
Everything.
Your hands touch everything. You might be touching food afterwards. It's really hard to wash your hands off right afterwards. So just don't handle them at all if you can.
Okay, what's next?
Okay, the next thing, gum.
Gum?
Our gum.
We gotta get rid of gum?
Well, not all gum. There are natural kinds, but studies have actually revealed that one piece of gum can release anywhere from hundreds to over 3,000 microplastic particles into your mouth, which of course then you swallow your spit as you have the gum in your mouth continuously. So you're continuously absorbing more and more.
Sure.
So gum used to be made from chicle. I think this is how you pronounce
chicle.
it. It's a natural latex sap from trees. But in the 1980s, the industry switched to petroleum-based synthetic rubbers because, of course, they were cheaper and they were more readily available.
Right.
So if you want to look out for this ingredient on your gum, if you're a gum chewer.
Okay.
Gum base.
What is gum base?
Exactly, right? It's
what
a mystery.
That?
What is gum base? So it's a mystery mix of a bunch of different kind of chemicals and plastics. So the same kind of plastics that are used in glue, plastic grocery bags, tires, and inner tubes. So the same kind of plastic that is used for those kinds of things.
Okay, that's gross.
Is in your gum. So just like you wouldn't want to be chewing on your car tire. You don't want to be chewing on these kinds of plastics.
Okay.
Right? So exactly. Do we want to give up all of our gum? No. So what do? Look out for that gum base ingredient if you are buying gum, and try to find gum that still has that chicle natural component in it. And there are natural gums, eco-friendly, natural-based gums.
Sure.
So just look out for those. And also, if you're chewing gum just to have fresh breath, this is like a little trick that you can do, is you just chew on a piece of lemon.
On a piece of
lemon. It will kill all the bacteria in your mouth.
True.
It's a nice natural ingredient, and it won't be leaching plastics into your body. So this is a new good little hack.
Chew lemon instead of gum. Got it.
Over plastic, right? Okay, the next thing is in your home, probably everybody's home, blankets. Yes, and I know we love our soft, furry blankets, curling up on the couch, especially in the wintertime. But unfortunately, most of those are made from plastics.
They are.
So you want to look out for these ingredients in the materials in your blankets. Polyester, acrylic. And sometimes these don't sound like plastic, so they might trick you, but minky, Sherpa, or faux shearling.
Oh, really?
So it sounds like, this is actually real, material. No, it's actually all just plastic. Different ways of saying different kinds of plastic. So again, just like any material that you're putting on your skin, on our bodies, you want to look for natural materials, the cottons, the wools, linens, that kind of thing, and then avoiding all of the polyester, acrylic,
Sure.
that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Okay, next I'll go on to our everyday routine things.
Yes.
Because these are the things that you use almost every day, maybe multiple times a day, and you might not know that plastic is hiding in them.
Sure.
So first things, the things that go in our mouth are toothbrushes
Right.
and our floss, right? Even me, I have an electronic toothbrush and it's made out of plastic and the bristles are made out of plastic. So when it shuts down, when it doesn't work anymore, I'm going to be switching over to all wood,
All
bamboo. And actually they do make a bamboo electronic toothbrush now.
They do?
Yes. So anything you guys that is made from plastic, you can find another form. You can find
Okay, there's
made in
an
a
alternative.
natural alternative.
Okay.
Yes. So you just have to look for it out there. But also your floss, usually made from nylon or Teflon, which are both plastic and usually coated with some sort of flavoring
Right.
on there. And then also have some like wax or chemical on it. So look for a natural based material floss. Also all of your face washes, lotions, serums, perfumes, also the fragrances. I know I'm like a broken record. I say it all the
Yes.
time. But all the things that you're putting, because these things you're putting directly on your skin. And like I said, anything that goes in your skin absorbs into your bloodstream. So you want to
Sure.
look out for all the synthetic materials and go for a more natural based product for these.
Okay.
And this is also for men. If you're using shaving cream, deodorants, also your plastic razors.
Right.
These ones all can be switched out to natural materials as well.
Okay, so we have just a little bit of time, so you're gonna
Okay, I'm gonna go through. Yes. So the next thing, cans, because this is kind of tricky because I know we
Cans.
think cans are aluminum,
Right.
But actually they're all lined with a plastic film on the inside. Because if it was just straight aluminum, then the metal taste would kind of leach into your food or drinks.
Okay.
So if you're going to buy a beverage, try to go for a glass bottle instead of a aluminum can for any of your sodas. And then also for foods, please avoid canned foods.
Okay.
Especially anything fatty because that's going to absorb more of that plastic into the food. So any of your foods, avoid the cans. Do we have time for one more? Or do
We can
gotta-
squeeze in one more.
Okay, just for all the mothers out there, your baby bottles and your diapers. These are plastic and they're going straight into your babies. So please switch these out for metal, glass, and the nipples on the baby bottles. You can switch that out to natural rubber.
Okay.
Okay, moms.
Oh, so it's such a wealth of information. If you missed any of that, you can go to our Play Again feature, watch it all over again, listen to it again. But thank you, Bonnie, for schooling us once again on plastics and the hidden plastics.
Yes, the dangerous ones.
All right. Thank you. We'll check in with you next week.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
It's time to wrap up our segment and our entire Tuesday morning. So here's our final song for you. This is Full For You by Snow Allegra. So have a good one. Bye, everybody.
It's something about you that's so familiar. Something that's got me wanting to know you. And I can't put my finger on it, but it feels like I've been here before. It's something about me that makes me wonder. I swear I met you, but you're a stranger. And I can't put my finger on quite what it is. Oh, but I've been here before. Maybe it was me who brought you here. I should run the other way, but I stay right here. And I'll be a fool for you. I know myself, but I pretend. I leave and I come back again. I'm a fool for you. I love you time and time again. I know just how the story ends. Oh, you remind me of someone I once knew. Baby, I'm crazy, but it's hard to ignore you. And I can't wrap my head around it, but it feels like I loved you before. Maybe it was me who brought you here. I should run the other way, but I stay right here. And I'll be a fool for you. I know myself, but I pretend. I leave and I come back again. I'm a fool for you. I love you time and time again. I know just how the story ends. Oh. know that I'll be that fool for you.